Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm a senior at Georgetown University, and today I'll be presenting on my project, Types of Peer Feedback Training, the Feedback Provider, and Performance toward a Process Product Perspective. So I became interested in the subfield of peer feedback because I was trained as a writing center tutor in my sophomore year. And after that training, I noticed that I became a lot more aware of my writing process. I became a lot more critical of my writing. And because of that, I think I became a better writer overall. So that personal experience and a review of the literature in this area led me to these two research questions. First, how do types of peer feedback training, peer revision versus peer tutoring, affect the performance of the feedback provider's own writing? And second, how do types of peer feedback training affect the awareness of the feedback provider's writing processes? So to define these variables, types of peer feedback training, first is peer revision training, which was based on Min 2006 and Eli Review. And this focuses more on the specific steps of offering someone feedback. On the other hand, peer tutoring training is based on writing center tutoring, um, specifically the handbook by Fitzgerald and Iannetta, and also tutors' reflections based on strategies that they found in the Georgetown Writing Center. And peer tutoring training taught broader strategies about how to give feedback to someone and offer an audience perspective. So for my method, I recruited 22 participants who were undergrads from Georgetown and also a few other institutions in the area. And first, they were randomly assigned to either the peer revision training or the peer tutoring training. All of the participants underwent a pre-essay session in which they wrote an essay in response to a prompt while they thought aloud. And thinking aloud is basically when you do a task and you're thinking in your head, they were instructed to say those thoughts out loud. And all of these thoughts were recorded through Zoom for my qualitative data. Next, they went through their respective feedback trainings. The training session was about 30 minutes, and then they observed someone giving feedback to a sample op-ed, and then they practiced giving written feedback. And then after that, they wrote another essay for a different prompt. The procedure was the same as the pre-essay, but then after that, they were interviewed about their experience in the experiment. Two writing faculty members scored the essays, and then after that, I coded the Think Aloud for self-evaluations and self-revisions based on a model by Linda Flower. And I only coded for feedback concerning higher order concerns, which are basically concerns that affect the entire piece of writing, such as argument structure, and not necessarily line edits, such as word choice, punctuation, and grammar. And my findings show, at least my quantitative findings, show that in the peer tutoring group, from the pre-essay to the post-essay, the scores actually overall decreased by 0.37. In the peer revision group, they increased by 0.44, and on average overall, they increased by 0.03 between the pre-essay to the post-essay. However, after doing a statistical analysis, these numbers are basically negligible, and there was no significant change in the essay scores because of the small sample of participants. 11 each is not very much for each group. However, the qualitative findings really showed a lot about the changes in writing process and awareness. Um, Both groups reported an increase of awareness and audience perspective, which aligns with the findings of most of the literature in this field. And they also reported perceived improvements in their writing and revision processes. Specifically in peer revision, the Think Aloud showed that in the post-essay, more participants made self-evaluations and self-revisions. So generally they were giving themselves more feedback than they did in the pre-essay. And in the peer tutoring group, interestingly enough, more participants made changes in their entire writing process. So some of them spoke of changing the way they brainstorm or adding an outline before they started writing, or even they started revising when they hadn't before. And although these findings for performance didn't really show anything significant, the findings for qualitative data show a lot of show how methods in this field should be done. And so I think that future studies should center process along with performance to measure the effectiveness of peer feedback pedagogy, because writing is such a process-oriented task, and students may not improve immediately, but once they build awareness of their own process, they'll probably be able to improve in the future, as other studies have shown. And if I could do this study again, I would love to do it with more participants to see how performance might change based on just larger numbers of scores. And I would do more instances of training sessions and of drafts, because if they already are building their awareness over one training session, they may even increase doing that after more practice and more writing over time. And I would also be interested to combine the tutoring and revision trainings, because I think there are powerful aspects of both, of like the nitty gritty process versus like um, the overall ways of thinking of writing that could really benefit single writers if they got both of those trainings. And I would just really like to thank the CES conference for giving me this opportunity to present. I would also like to thank my mentor, David Lipscomb, who was also my Writing Center director and my instructor for the training course. And also the Lisa J. Raines Fellowship at Georgetown for giving me the opportunity to do this with funding in the summer of 2020. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.